What is up, party people? We are back. Part 2 of trying to complete this fantasy football wide receivers for the 25-26 season. There's been so much that's been going on in the NFL world. It's been good. I've loved all of the movement that we're seeing. So this is fantastic. It opens up a lot of good conversation. So as you can see, part 1, what we did in this part 1 is we went ahead and went through 1 through 27. The goal was to go through 1 through 25, but to tail it off there in the end, we each kind of three had a guy, so we just threw them in here. Now with this, this is not in any particular order. So if you're just now tuning in, this is in no particular order. What we're trying to do is categorize these in these different segments of top 10, 11 through 20, 21 through 30. Then in part 3, what we're going to be doing is going through and actually reorganizing them. So right now, this is kind of the step 1 of a 2-step process of what we're trying to do. But as always, wanted to check in on my fellas. How are y'all doing today?
Doing good, man. We're back. We're getting in a rhythm here, going every week now, and so I'm excited to kick off. See what's on this back half of our wide receiver rankings, man. See what we can come up with.
I'm doing good, fellas. You can see I am not in a hotel room this week. I'm at the house. Good to be home. Also looking over here at DJ, digging the shirt, brother. You always got to support NASCAR when you can.
Yeah, I don't know who it is. I don't know what it was, but I will say that I do thrift 90 to 95% of my clothing. So somebody got rid of it, and I got it. So
There you go.
It's 2 sizes too big, but nothing wrong with an oversized fit for sure. So, but I'm glad you're back home, because I feel like you were talking a little bit of nonsense last time when you were on the road. Because again, let us know down in the comments. I need y'all to be the kind of the deal breaker for us. These 2 bozos convinced me to put this bozo in the top 20. I am not convinced at all that Chris Olave is a top 20 wide receiver in this 25-26 season. I got trumped. I lost 2-1 majority. So he found his way in there in that. So I'm going to be doing my best in part 3 to kind of talk them off the ledge and keeping him at 20, the lowest that you can be in this 11 through 20 ranking. So let us know down in the comments below. But let's go ahead and get this kicked off again. Trying to just go through roughly 28 through 50, these last 22 spots that we have, or 27 spots that we have remaining. 23. Holy cow. What am I doing? I'm seeing numbers and I'm just saying them. 23 spots remaining that we have left here. So we can only have 3 more people that we can fit in this 27 or 21 through 30 slot. Is there anyone that kind of sticks out to you immediately, Nathan? This is the hardest part. The bottom half of this is the hardest part, because it's like, yeah, they could very well be up there in the upper 20s or like the lower 20s or even at that 30, but you don't know if they're going to be worth putting in the 31 through 40.
I don't know. I'm kind of maybe Jaden Reed.
Do you like Jaden Reed?
I like Jaden Reed.
It's as a Packers fan, it's so difficult for me to be, and it's weird, but it's so difficult for me to be sold in on just one Packers wide receiver. I feel like the way our offense is structured, they do such a good job of sharing the ball.
Well, if they're not thinking Jaden Reed, though, another name as a coin flip for me. I asked Siri, LOL. But I like Cooper Kupp too, though. You know, Sam Darnold and over there in Seattle, you got a veteran wide receiver. You got to put a lot of faith in those veteran guys, so I could see Cooper Kupp there as well.
Dalton, what are your thoughts and opinions on Cooper Kupp?
I don't know. I still like him. You know, I'm not gonna. I mean, I like big playmakers. I like someone who has high volume. I just don't know if he's still gonna get that. You know, especially with what we saw with Puka and Nakua. I don't know. Well, I'm curious to see what happens. You know, is he still that number 1 guy? We see what happened to receivers. Who's the old cat that went to played with the Vikings and then went to the Panthers?
Thielen.
Yeah, Adam Thielen. I kind of get those same vibes. Going to a new club, is he still going to be the same? What's going to happen? Usually, when things like that happen, I try to just stay away from it. I've seen this pattern before. Being like a number one receiver, even a number two. Someone like Edelman. He still like puts up wide receiver one numbers, but wide receiver two on your team, and then goes to a new team. In Adam Thielen, and he's just not the same. Great respect for the guy. He's done great things in his career, but I'm kind of getting those same vibes from Cooper Kupp. It's you're going to a new team. Are you still the guy that we've always known for you to being, or is this kind of his downfall from here? Is he slowly going to start trending down, and then we see retirement? I don't know. I hope not, but I think this is someone I'm going to steer clear from. For me.
Yeah, I'm not sold on him, Nathan. I do love him. I think he's someone that is like, he's essentially someone that I would consider like a boom or bust. I think like you could very well put him in that conversation because his potential on that team with DK out, Tyler Lockett now out, it's essentially him and Jackson Smith and Jigba. That is it. Those are the only two. And again, like you're saying, they got Sam Darnold. But what I will say, I don't know if I love him at 28, 29, 30, but what I do love him at is this 31 through 40 and potentially working his way further up on that. So how do y'all feel about that? Kind of going ahead and penciling him there.
I'm good with that.
Okay.
I think that's a safe floor for him. Sure.
Yeah. So now, honestly, what we could do, should we just continue to go through 28 through 30, or some of these guys, if we wanted to clear it up and saying like, oh, those are for sure the bottom 10 guys. Did y'all want to start there or kind of keep going down the list the way that we've been going?
I just say let's just pick up where we left off and let's just start at 28.
All right. Sounds good. So for me, somebody that I've really, really liked in this position, and that's going to be, man, I feel like there's a lot in here, but one that I really do like, and that's going to be the Chris Godwin play. I feel like he's such a safe option, in that 28 to 30 range. But again, I don't know where y'all are at. He's someone that continues to play very well. I believe he's coming off of an injury.
Shit, I didn't
so that's
even see him on the list.
Huh?
So shit, I didn't even see him on the list.
Yeah, and I believe again he's coming off of an injury last year, that kind of hindered him for sure. But again, I think he's still a solid wide receiver to be considering. Dalton, was there anyone that came to your mind?
Yeah, one guy that I really like is, and I'm gonna mess his name up so bad, but I'm gonna say his last name. And I'm probably gonna mess that up too. I love, not just like, but I love the pick that the Panthers got. That McMillan dude, Tora McMillan or whatever. For some reason he really sticks out to me. I know he's a rookie, but I really like where the Panthers got this guy at. I know that, they have some guys out there that can ball on the wide receiver position, but like this guy here I think the Panthers went and tried to get their true number one. I think they tried to go out there and get their Mike Evans. I'm not trying to compare this guy to Mike Evans. Mike Evans is Mike Evans, don't get me wrong, but I'm just saying they finally went out there and got their guy, and I really like him. I think he could be potentially a top 25 wide receiver. I think dropping him down 3 spots is kind of safe for me, and that's where I saw him this whole time. So the fact that we're now here at 28, that's where I like him. That's kind of where I viewed him at, on a team that he's coming in for. So
let's do this then. So because this is kind of a gray area. So what I'm going to do, Dalton, I'm going to put him here for you. And then I had Chris Godwin. So yeah, Chris Godwin did miss the entire season last year, but he is expected again to make a start to begin the season. He's not expected to miss any time to start this year. So again, coming off of an injury, pretty bad one where he missed the entire season. I forget the injury exactly that happened to him, but I still think that he's in a really good position. They did draft Ohio State wide receiver Igbuka. I believe that's how you say his name. I don't know. But they did draft him, so he's going to have a little bit more competition in that room for sure. But Nathan.
You have one more spot list?
We do. So that's what I was going to leave it up to you.
It's got to be Devontae Smith.
Devontae Smith?
It's
Where
got
are we
to.
at?
I mean,
No,
you got to put some respect on it. Like I think he gets overlooked and doesn't get as much targets as he probably should have with AJ Brown being there, but you got to put Devontae Smith on that list.
Yeah, and I mean, considering again, and I said this in part 1 whenever we were doing this, is the Eagles' offense in terms of passing took a step backwards. They got Saquon Barkley. That Eagles' offense became a lot more run heavy, and they were much more efficient. Devontae Smith last year still finished as wide receiver number 27. So I do think that is a very fair position to have him in as well. So now what we're doing is, again, we have these 2 columns. So really, are we considering these guys bottom 10 guys or above the bottom 10 guys? So that's kind of how we can kind of approach this. So Jayden Reed, we can kind of go down the list in a sense. But Jayden Reed, do we think he's a bottom 10 guy or kind of this 31 through 40? For me, I do love him in the 31 through 40. I love the way that Matt LaFleur, head coach of the Green Bay Packers, has used him in that offense. It's one of those things where you realize how much of an athlete and how much of a stud he is. If you can't get the ball to him passing it, what are they going to do? They're going to run it. He probably averaged 2 to 3 rush attempts per game, and that was a massive help for us. So I expect a lot more of that. He's just kind of one of those gadget players. I expect a ton of touches. Yes, we got Matthew Golden, but again, I think that Matthew Golden's role in that offense is going to be much more of a deep threat more than anything. We have really good route runners on the team. We need someone that can spread open the field. Matthew Golden, that's right up his alley, right? So
He's also a very good route runner, though.
He is.
Well, he plays inside, outside. He kind of does a little bit of it all too. He's kind of a gadget.
Yeah. I think he'll finish as y'all's number 1 wide receiver. That's my opinion. But
Matthew Golden, I hope
you saw how high I ranked him last episode. So
yeah, no, I hope he does. But if I'm being realistic, I don't think that. I love Jayden Reed more than him, but I also stated earlier this episode, it's hard for me to get sold on any Green Bay wide receiver being top 30. Like, I just think that we do such a good job of spreading the ball around. There's not someone that we're just going to just consistently feed every single week. It's going to be someone's week. It's going to be their week, like alternating. It's just so odd on how it works, but it works for us. So, Jayden Reed, do we think he's 31 through 40 though?
Yeah. Okay. Next time, I'm gonna go a little off schedule here, and I might be wrong, so y'all may have to correct me. But I've read a few things this week, and from what I'm seeing and what I've heard, Rashee Rice getting a slap on the wrist, fellas.
Yes, he is. He's in trouble. He could be suspended for the next 6 games.
I saw a thing the other day saying that they don't know if they're going to suspend him.
They don't.
Wow.
That's been the conversation, I think, for the last 3 or 4 months now. Ever since he got pulled over, I believe it was in Dallas as well. But ever since he got pulled over, the NFL's been like, we don't really know how to handle this. So, and because of that, that's a guy that I'd rank in the bottom 10. Like, it's hard to consider him. Like, I think his potential is so high. Yeah, if he plays, it's going to be really, really good.
He could be a top 15.
Yeah, but if he doesn't, now you're looking at him missing half of the regular season for you. But when he comes back,
do you think it seems like they're not? It's not going to happen.
Yeah, no, I agree. I think at the end of the day, it's going to end up being a slap on the wrist, which is crazy. Dalton, I guess, be the tiebreaker. I would say bottom 10 on him, and that's just personal preference. I think I'd much rather take a gamble on somebody else.
I'm not saying he was in the 31 through 40. I'm just saying, like, if he's not suspended, he's definitely higher than 31 through 40.
Yeah, I think that you could have that conversation for sure.
Yeah.
So then, do we think he's the 41 through 50 because of the allegations and what's going on?
For now,
I say we put him right.
I say you put him there for now because you don't know what the NFL is going to do. But if the NFL comes out and doesn't suspend him, you can easily move him to the top 15.
Dalton, what are you gonna say?
I would say let's put him somewhere in the middle because I think he's definitely, in the top 40 if he plays for sure. But I think if he misses 6 games or if he misses the time that we think he's going to miss, he falls out of the top 40. I think he comes in and he likely steps in day one after he comes back from his suspension and he could do you great. But what is that suspension? How much is he going to practice? How much is he going to play? That's 6 weeks is a lot of time, but I'm sure he's doing what he needs to do to stay healthy and be ready when that time comes back from the suspension. But still, I like to stay away from that stuff. I'm not drafting him regardless because it's too much of a stress for me to deal with, and it could be a wasted pick. So I'd probably just put him somewhere in the middle because
What if he fell around 10? Would you draft him then?
if he was what?
If he fell around 10, would you draft him then?
If he fell around 10.
Yeah. A 2-round 10.
Oh, yeah. I mean, that's tough. I think it would depend on the structure of my team. If I already have 3-4 solid wide receivers, it's a situation where I will take a gamble on him for sure.
See,
But I'm not going to draft him
yeah,
as my third wide receiver. I think I would take someone else in any of this top 50 list over him.
I just
to
think with
avoid that liability.
I would probably still say no, only because the strategy I take is very running back heavy, to where when it comes down to drafting receivers, it's definitely got to be reliable. So, like, if I take a gamble on him and then he doesn't play, like, I could waste that pick because, like, I really need receivers that are going to play and be volume hogs, and not receivers that I'm going to draft early because I'm usually going running back. So Rashi Rice to me, yeah, it's a gamble, and it's something worth considering. But to me, I'd probably still say no, only because I really need some trustworthy receivers that I know are going to play, considering the fact that I went so early on running backs.
Yeah. All right. Next on this list, who do we think belongs in the 31 through 40? Someone that y'all mentioned heavily last time, Jordan Addison. I didn't love him in the 21 through 30, but I do love him in the 31 through 40.
I agree. I like it.
So let's go ahead and sketch him in there. Again, I think
I'm a big fan.
Yeah, I think that's such a fun play.
I'm just not a big fan of JJ McCarthy.
No, and
I
that's the only thing. I love Jordan Addison. I honestly, when Minnesota drafted him, I was super surprised that when they drafted him where they drafted him at, because I was like, man, obviously wide receiver is not a massive need right now for y'all. But they did it. So I love him as a prospect for sure. But yeah, it's kind of the dynamics of how that offense is gonna kind of flow. Next one. How do we feel about Calvin Ridley? Where do we think that he could potentially go?
It's so hard to draft any receivers from Tennessee. I know that they got Cam Ward in and all this, but Will Levis was a gunslinger too. Look how that worked out. You know what I mean?
Well, and that's the thing that I was going to mention. Like, even though, like, all you can really think about when you think of that Titans team is how bad the quarterback play was. But even considering that, where Calvin Ridley finished last year, wide receiver number 28. So,
Yeah,
I would argue that he's getting a quarterback upgrade, and all we're asking him to do is have a similar season. I think
That's
that
doable. It's doable.
I think 28. I think last year, like 28 is definitely his. I think that's his floor. I think his ceiling could be, I think it could be top 20 for sure. If Cam Ward hits the ground running and he has such a boost at quarterback play, I could see his ceiling being, I don't see it being in the top 15, but I could see it being anywhere between 15 and 20 being his ceiling.
I just struggle trusting anybody from the Tennessee team. Honestly, it's very hard to until you see that change or you see consistent quarterback play or consistent offensive line protecting the quarterback. It's just really, really hard to draft somebody from that Tennessee Titans team until you see that change in consistency.
I
just
agree.
my opinion.
Yeah, I got a comment too. Ridley definitely not in the top 30. And again, I do agree with that. He's a fun guy, and it's just so hard to put a ton of faith in someone that, again, is having a rookie quarterback kind of take over. Again, boomer bust. Calvin Ridley figured out a way to do it with Will Levis and all the quarterback changes that were happening throughout the season last year. So I think coming in at 34 is a little bit safe. Again, even with as bad as that season was last year for him, he managed a 28, which is kind of crazy to even think about with that. And again, that's full PPR leagues when we're talking about 1 point per reception. So that's where he finished. That's what that information is based off of as well. Next one. Another one that I like is Zay Flowers. I think that Zay Flowers is one of these guys. I don't know. I think that with this offense, I know they got Derrick Henry, so it's kind of changed their dynamics just a little bit. But I
would take somebody above him. I would take a couple people on this list above him.
Above him, but do you think that he's still in the 35 to 40? Or no?
Probably.
We'll skip. We can
probably 40.
We can come back
for Zay Flowers.
Zay Flowers, yeah.
I mean, that offense runs through Lamar Jackson and Derrick Henry.
Well, if y'all didn't see too, something I had seen earlier was Monken, the offensive coordinator, had he. You got to take that stuff with a grain of salt too, but the offensive coordinator has been actually talking about getting Zay Flowers involved in the offense more. So I think that was something that had come across in the Fantasy Pros. I think I'd gotten an alert by them. But Zay Flowers, they're talking about him possibly getting involved in the offense more. Todd Monken gave him high praise and just the things that he can do with the ball, and they just don't think he's involved enough. So, I mean, that's great things to hear about a receiver, from the offensive coordinator, coming out of their way to be like, we got to get him the ball more. So, I mean, I kind of like hearing things like that. It's just somebody I'm going to keep my eye on. He might be somebody.
I hear Jerry Jones say we're all in, and our running back's Rico Dowdle. So
that's the Cowboys.
But so I will say though, even again, this is another guy. Looking back at how we performed last year, wide receiver number 25 in full PPR leagues. So again, I do think that even with that, it was kind of a step back from where I felt like he was in his rookie year. I kind of felt like it was a little bit of a sophomore slump a little bit in year 2. So I only expect him to get a little bit better, to figure out more ways to get him involved, because again, outside of him, they did get DeAndre Hopkins. They did add him, but the other wide receivers outside of Zay Flowers, Rashad Bateman, DeAndre Hopkins, that's kind of it, right?
Hold on, whoa, pump the brakes. I mean, Isaiah Likely and Mark Andrews are very talented.
Sorry, I'm talking about just the wide receiver room. I do think that the tight end combo there is definitely eats into target share. You can even have the same conversation with running backs, which is where a lot of people are a little bit off. Kind of a little bit off on any Raven wide receiver is just because they're loaded at other positions that get a ton of targets. But I still love Zay Flowers there. Again, finished 25 last year. I don't think we're going to see him drop from 25 to 41. I don't see a world where that happens. I think
he's wide receiver 1 there right now. That's just crazy to have a receiver be wide receiver number 1 and fall outside the top 40. That's crazy.
Yeah, I do agree. Anyone else that come to y'all's mind?
Yeah,
I will look. Wait, what'd you say?
George Pickens. Now, hold on though, but hear me out though. You look at last year. You look at Dak. You look at Dallas. The only wide receiver he could throw the ball to was CeeDee Lamb. They were so one-dimensional because the running game was non-existent. And if CeeDee Lamb wasn't open, you just hope the tight end was there. Hey, I hope you're there, Fergie. You know what I mean? Now you bring in George Pickens, who we see who is able to produce, but he had Russell Wilson as a quarterback. I'm curious to see how he's going to do with Dak. I think now our running back room is not. I mean, it's a little better, but it's nothing to.
It's a lot to write home about.
It is, but it's nothing to write home about. You got an injury-prone Javonte Williams. Yay, woohoo! But it's a step up from Rico Dowdle. But I'm curious to see how. for the people out there, I am a Dallas Cowboys fan, but I am not your typical "this is our year" Dallas Cowboys fan. This is not our year. This is our year to make a step in the right direction. Like, we needed to draft a running back. We needed to get a wide receiver. Um, we got Blue out of Texas. We got Pickens from the Steelers. I'm curious to see how that's going to work out through. I'm curious to see how that's going to help Dak out now that he has CeeDee Lamb. Because, like, look how efficient Dak was when he had Amari Cooper and CeeDee Lamb and Cole Beasley. Well, now he has CeeDee Lamb, George Pickens, and Jake Ferguson.
Yeah, here's my concerns though. I will say, I think this benefits no one else but CeeDee Lamb having George Pickens. I would say, like, I would love this pick absolutely if CeeDee Lamb was a deep threat. But that's not the case. George Pickens is the deep threat coming into this, because this is where I would love to see someone like CeeDee Lamb being Justin Jefferson and George Pickens being Jordan Addison. That's why I love Jordan Addison so damn much, is because he's such a target hoss, and Justin Jefferson's just doing Justin Jefferson things. However, CeeDee Lamb is the wide receiver number one because of the things he can do after the catch. So essentially, he is Jordan Addison, but wide receiver one for the Cowboys. Whereas George Pickens is coming in and trying to be Justin Jefferson, but he's not. And that's why I think George Pickens is more of that eye candy for safeties to get CeeDee Lamb open. So I don't think we're going to see what I wanted from George Pickens. If he came into a role where CeeDee Lamb was more that Justin Jefferson and George Pickens was that Jordan Addison, I'd love it. I'd eat it up all day. But I just think this benefits no one but CeeDee Lamb. George Pickens, I think, is going to be in a very similar role like he was last year.
Pickens, though. Look at the quarterback. Look at the quarterbacks he's had since he's been
absolutely,
in the league.
Absolutely. But like I'm saying,
quarterback upgrade.
That is the upgrade. But then again, it's still, to me, I think this could be a boom or bust option every week with Pickens. I don't know nothing against him because he is a great wide receiver and I like what he does with the ball in his hands. But I think this still is CeeDee Lamb's team. They're still going to be the number one option is CeeDee Lamb. Dak's going to look his way time and time again. And George Pickens is going to be more of, I see, plays geared for him, and let's take a deep shot and see if we can just get a touchdown. Like, George Pickens is crazy when it comes to just these deep ball plays, but then again, how many of those are we going to see from him? I think we could see a handful. I think they're going to take the shots with Dak, but I don't want to rely on that when it comes to my wide receivers.
Dak throws ball down the field quite a bit. I mean, I'm not going to lie, he does it quite a bit.
Yeah, but then again, like I said, if George Pickens was more of that Jordan Addison type player, 100% I'd take it, but that's CeeDee Lamb. I mean, CeeDee Lamb is going to go in the top 5, 100%. No, I mean, I don't know why you wouldn't pick CeeDee Lamb. I mean, that dude's going to be crazy because he had a great year last year, and this year's going to be even better because of George Pickens with him on that side of the ball. I think it's a great duo. They will be one of the best duos in the NFL this year, and I'm not even a Cowboys fan, and I hate to admit that. But
I hope so.
CeeDee Lamb and George Pickens are going to do great, but from a fantasy standpoint, I'm CeeDee Lamb or nothing on the Cowboys for me.
Yeah, and I mean, my take on the George Pickens situation, I do like him. I think he's someone that definitely belongs in his 31 through 40. He finished last year as wide receiver number 42 in a very, 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 very poor Steelers offense last year. It was managed to get it done. I will say that his game definitely benefits from having a complement wide receiver because you can see a lot of his numbers dip after Deontay Johnson kind of got out of town, and that was more so the target share than anything. He saw 8+ targets in 3 games last season with Deontay Johnson. Once Deontay Johnson got out of town, he only had 1 game, and so that was from basically week 10 through week 18, and we only saw him do that one time. With Deontay Johnson out of town. So I do think it's going to open up his game a little bit more now that CeeDee Lamb is there for sure. I think, again, like we're all agreeing that I think that they're complements to each other. This is what needs to happen. And I think that he is in a good spot. Finished, again, last year at wide receiver 42. I think he belongs in this 40 because I don't think that this Dallas team is going to be as bad as the Steelers team was last year. So I'm going to go ahead and put him in there. And really all we've got to do is get through these next 4 picks. And once we get through those next 4 picks, obviously everyone is going to kind of fit through here. And that's going to be that. So Dalton, who on your, of the remaining players, who do you think belongs in this list? of that 31 through 40?
I think someone that I really like and I think could be in there that just stands out to me looking at this list is going to be. Hmm, I really like Jawan Jennings or Jennings
Really?
for. Yeah, I do like him a lot. When
Not who
he
I thought you were gonna go.
say what?
Not who I thought you were gonna go.
Yeah, I mean, I was looking at him and Jerry Jeudy. I love Jerry Jeudy too, but what's getting me is the quarterback play with Jerry because Jerry was I think he ranked 21st last year in PPR for receivers.
No.
Despite I
No.
could have sworn he did
No, he's top 12.
with
He was
it
12th.
was top 12.
Top
Jerry
12.
Jeudy.
Yeah.
I guess I was looking at what the current uh what his current ranking was
Because
or what his projected ranking.
Jerry Jeudy was going to be my guy. So I'm going to go ahead and add him.
Yeah, I mean, if you want to
Mike
say that,
Bossman.
let's go Jerry Jeudy because I was going between them two. What concerns me is the quarterback play there, but I still think that they're going to get him involved with the playbook,
That's why
and
he's top
they're going to
12.
get him the ball because if you don't get Jerry Jeudy the ball, you're going to lose. I mean, simple as is. I mean, you're not the same team without Nick Chubb. I mean, Nick Chubb is injured; he's gone. Now it looks like you got to find new playmakers, and Jerry Jeudy to me is the guy that they need to get the ball involved with. I don't think the Browns are going to win a lot of games this year, but I think Jerry Jeudy is going to win you a lot of fantasy football. They're going to get him the ball. They're going to pass a lot because they're going to be down. And Jerry Jeudy is just so shifty. He knows how to get open. He's a veteran now. He's not the same rookie receiver he was with Denver. And this dude just knows how to get open. And I think they're gonna do whatever they can to get him the ball. He's gonna be more of that blanket receiver for whoever's playing at quarterback for them. Whether it's Kenny Pickett or Dylan Gabriel or Shador, whoever steps into that spot is going to be looking at Jeudy very often. So I
You
like
know who they should have kept? They should have kept
who.
Oh my gosh, Winston. No,
James
that's
Winston,
Yo,
baby.
bro. That's whenever.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's
I,
what.
yeah.
That's really what sparked Judy's late
The golden
season
arm, dude.
heroics. Yeah.
That dude's got an arm still. I don't understand how you can go out there and throw a ball like a major league pitcher, like a pitcher, and throw the ball 50, 60 times a game. Dude, that's crazy.
Yeah.
Because
All
he
right.
That's
pitched
just
at
So
Winston
Winston.
State.
let's do this. So really, just to round this out, we have 3 spots remaining. Let's each kind of pick one more guy. So kind of look through that list, pick one more guy. Obviously, everyone else is going to kind of fall through here, so I'll just copy and paste that list over, and then that'll kind of be that. Then episode 3, we'll kind of go back through and re-ranking these. So my one guy that I really like in this list is Rome Odunze. Rome Odunze last year finished as wide receiver number 49, gets the benefit of adding Ben Johnson, former Detroit Lions offensive coordinator who they have dominated the last couple seasons. They've also, throughout all of this, have lost Keenan Allen. So now that just opens up much more targets. I think that Ben Johnson and Rome Odunze are going to be perfect complements of one another. All I'm asking him to do is jump up from really 49 wide receiver 49 up into wide receiver 40, moving up 9 spots. I love Rome Odunze in this spot. It's one of these mid-tier wide receivers. He's a boomer bust guy. Not really a bust guy. I think he just has a very high ceiling. We could see him kind of have one of those Jerry Jeudy type seasons where we're seeing him finish up close to the top 10. But I think he has the potential of a top 15 wide receiver this
No
season.
way.
And you can
No
grab him here.
way.
100%.
No.
100%.
No. There's no way both those 2 wide receivers finish the top 10 in Chicago. No way.
Dude, I mean, look at, you use your playmakers where you have them, because everyone said the same thing about
DJ
2
Moore's
running
still the number
backs.
1 wide receiver,
Everyone said the
though.
same thing about 2 running backs with Gibbs and Montgomery, and look at him. He
Yeah, but those
he
2
uses,
dudes.
no, but that's what I'm saying.
Animals.
You would have never said that. You would have never. Ben Johnson finds a way. I hate that he went. I hate that he stayed within the division. I think him and Rome Odunze are going to crush it.
I'm just not a Caleb Williams fan, man.
Yeah, I mean, I think he's going to figure it out. I think he's going to figure it out enough. He finished his quarterback is like 15 or 16 or so last year. So depending on what league format you use, but kind of somewhere top 20 quarterback.
Bro.
Nathan, though, who do you got?
Bro, I've been saying him all fucking night. I don't know what you're talking about, dude.
Matthew
Put some
Golden.
respect. Dude, I'm telling you, I know as a Green Bay Packers fan that you're sitting here like, hey, this man is going to be running down the field, go routes, catch the football. But if you watch the way that Sarkisian used this man at Texas, this man is an all-around wide receiver. He lined him up outside. He lined him up in the slot. Hell, he started the year there because Isaiah Bond was supposed to be the number one wide receiver. You can line him up outside. You can line him up inside. He's all over the place.
No, I'm excited.
He's such an all-around wide receiver. And and people are like, oh, you're putting him there, Nathan, because he played from Texas. Maybe that might be a little bit true. But also, this is the first time that the Green Bay Packers have drafted a wide receiver in the first round, and God knows how long. Probably since DJ's been alive. Not really, but you know what I mean.
Yeah, I was very young.
This man has to have a hell of a season.
Yeah, I mean, they're gonna showcase him for sure, and I think the fans are gonna be upset if they don't showcase him. But I also don't want to put that pressure on him.
If he finishes top 40, Green Bay fans are gonna be pissed.
No, that's a very productive season. If he finishes top 40, that's a very good rookie season, 100%.
But for y'all's track record of not drafting a wide receiver in the first round for how many years? You have to I would be like, this man needs to finish top 20.
No, I think if he's not top 20 probably by the end of his rookie contract, then I think that's where everyone's kind of probably a little bit pissed. Especially as a first round. But I think rookie year I'm not overly concerned.
I just saw him play every Saturday, and I just saw the way that Sark used him, and he is an incredible athlete.
Yeah.
Incredible.
Like I said, the only thing that concerns me with Matthew Golden is there's a lot of people there in Green Bay, and I think the quarterback play there does a great job of just passing that ball around.
But so does Sark. He's technically jumping into the same style of offense. So Sark runs the same style offense.
No, I agree. I think that he's gonna have weeks where he scores 25, 30 points. And then he's going to have weeks where he scores 2.5, 3 points. And it's like, oh, hell, like, here we go. And I think that's just anybody in this Green Bay offense. Like, it sucks being a fan and not being able to draft them in the same.
As a Packers fan, DJ, who's legitimately y'all's wide receiver one?
No, I have no idea. Everyone would say Jayden Reed. That's the first one that comes to my mind it's Jayden Reed, because Jayden Reed was the one that was really featured the most.
Yeah, see, that's crazy because y'all still have Christian, Watson, and then you got Romeo Doubs.
Expected to miss a good bit of time this season with his injury. But yeah, Romeo Doubs, he was the one coming in last year. Romeo Doubs was the one went last year that we're like, he's our wide receiver one.
And then who's your tight end?
He had some decent ones.
He was a rookie last year.
Our tight end is Tucker Kraft and Luke Musgrave.
So there's a lot. There's a lot of people there that are going to demand the ball. So that's why it's just tough for me to look at receivers like that.
I love
it, especially rookies too.
I'm so excited to see how he fits in this offense. But again, I've watched Packers football so many years, and we just share the ball so much. We haven't had a top 20. We haven't had a top 30 wide receiver since Devontae Adams left, and then even before that, Jordy Nelson. Like, it's been so long since I feel like we've had that. But anyways, Dalton, round us out. Who's the last guy you got here?
Well, I already said him once, so I'll say him again. Jennings. I like him a lot. In retrospect of, like, we were just talking about Matthew Golden, I think this guy could come in and be wide receiver one, especially with Brandon Ayuk recovering from his ACL injury. We don't know how that could go. And then you got Deebo Samuel that's out of town, but you still have Kittle. I just think that despite all those people, even when they were all there, Jennings had such a good season. He still performed really well. He actually ranked last year wide receiver number 26. So for PPR last year. So I mean, the fact that you're telling me that with all those people, he was wide receiver 26, and now you've got your one down with the ACL and Ayuk, and now you've got Deebo Samuel out of town. Dude, what are we doing? Why is he falling all the way to 40? Like, I don't get it. You still got Brock Purdy. Like, I think this guy could definitely come in, and his floor, like, I don't even know why we had him drop this far down. But I still think that he is going to be a great wide receiver next year. I think he's going to get a lot of targets. I think when Ayuk comes back, I think his usage is going to decrease a bit. However, like I said, he was there when he was booming already. He averaged 8 targets per game, and there was actually one game that his best game, he got 46.5 fantasy points. So he's shown that he can explode on the football field for fantasy wise, and get those high numbers like a Tyreek Hill. But like I said, I think they said his average was like 14.6 fantasy points. Dude, I'll take that all day long if I get him at wide receiver 40. Good God. Like 14 and a half points. And his highest, you're telling me his ceiling's like 46 and a half when he had all those playmakers around him. Like, dude, give me him all day long. I'll take him where he's at 40.
You also got to look at too, like he did have Debo there. You did have Kittle. One of the things that you're going to have this year, Ayuk, yeah, he'll be out a little bit, but Ricky Pearsall's there. They drafted him in the first round. He was hurt last year, because he got shot. But just think like the only reason why I think he could drop this low is because when that 49ers team is healthy, you have Brandon Ayuk, you have Juwan Jennings, you have Ricky Pearsall, you have George Kittle, you have Christian McCaffrey.
Of course.
The Niners do such a good job at spreading the love. And that's why I think that's why if that team is completely healthy, that's why you have these people fall down the way they do. Because I mean, when Ayuk's healthy and that he's going to be the number one wide receiver, but Shanahan does such a good job at spreading the love. It's like, okay, like this, like you think Ayuk is the guy, and he'll be the guy for 3 games in a row. Then all of a sudden, Pearsall will pop off for 2 games, and then Kittle will pop off for 2 games, and then you got McCaffrey. So like the ball's just so spread out there, and they have such good playmakers all over the place.
And that's a good point too. But like I said, even with all those playmakers he had around him last year, he still averaged a decent fantasy score every week, and had a pretty good target share in all of it too. So I mean, I still like where he's at 40. I don't think even with the new receivers that are coming in and who we still got there, I don't see him dropping from 26 all the way to 40. I mean, he played around a great squad last year. I just feel like dropping from 26 to 40 is quite the fall. So I just don't think he falls that far. I think 40 at most is his floor, but even then, I feel like that's a really, really low floor. He's standing in the basement at this point.
I was just getting that because like last year they fought off a lot of injuries with Ayuk and then his contract, then McCaffrey not being out quite a.
And McCaffrey's also injury prone too. I mean, I don't know. I think Jennings kind of has taken over that role that Deebo Samuel had a couple years ago. I feel like that's kind of it seems like that's someone that Shanahan likes, is someone who can be kind of that wide receiver, running back type guy, and that's kind of who he is.
Well, that's what this year we're about to find out how good Deebo Samuel is, because let's be honest, like a lot of people said, oh, is Deebo Samuel really this good, or is it Kyle Shanahan?
It's kind of like the Le'Veon Bell. We're seeing something, Le'Veon Bell left because they felt like it was the Steelers that made him good, and then he left and he was trash.
Yeah.
No, I am. There's been a lot of change, and like I said to start this episode, is I'm so excited to see kind of how it all shakes out. But this is our informal rankings of 1 through 50. Again, part 3 of this. We will be coming back to you on sometime next week. And we will be shifting through this, kind of going and actually numbering these 1 through 10, or 1 through 50, kind of in sets of 10. They won't be jumping from 10 to 11. We will be making sure that they stay somewhat in this order. So anyways, that's all that we've got for y'all. Thank y'all so much for tuning in and being a part of this as well. It's been an absolute blast. See y'all in the next one. Ride the pine.
Ride the pine, fellas. And just real quick, while everyone's here and they're watching, guys, we are 7 Saturdays away from college football, baby.
Crazy.
Nuts. Get them drafts going.
That includes this upcoming Saturday?
But yeah, because of week 0.
Nice.
The game they play in Ireland or whatever.
Yeah. Dublin. All right. See y'all later.
Dublin.